It started with a single jarring headline: Panama Canal shut down indefinitely. The words seemed to echo through every living room, office, and street corner, their weight sinking in slowly. On May 15, 2025, news alerts flashed across the globe, lighting up phones and televisions in every time zone. The world's attention was instantly captured, as if time itself had paused. The words felt unreal, like a plot from a disaster movie. People stared at their screens, searching for reassurance, but finding only uncertainty. In New York, Tokyo, and London, people froze, watching the news in disbelief. Crowds gathered in public spaces, united by confusion and fear, as the world's heartbeat seemed to falter. The announcement, delivered by Panamanian and U.S. officials, cited urgent structural concerns and an immediate halt to all transit. The gravity in their voices left no room for hope of a quick resolution. For over a century, the Panama Canal had been the shortcut that made the modern world possible. It was the silent engine behind global trade, connecting distant economies and cultures. The idea of it simply stopping was unthinkable. Generations had relied on its steady flow, never imagining a day when it would cease. News anchors struggled for words. Experts warned of economic devastation and logistical chaos. The uncertainty rippled through markets, businesses, and households alike. The initial reports were vague, but the message was clear. A vital artery of global commerce was broken. Ships sat idle, their cargoes stranded, as the world waited for answers. The steady rhythm of global trade had just been silenced. Ports slowed to a crawl, and the usual hum of activity faded into an uneasy quiet. In homes worldwide, the news became a personal worry. Would prices rise? Would jobs be lost? Would goods arrive? Everyday routines suddenly felt precarious, as if the ground beneath had shifted. The world woke up to a new, frightening reality. The connections holding us together were suddenly fragile. The sense of security people once felt was replaced by anxiety and doubt. Social media exploded with rumors, but no answers came. Misinformation spread quickly, fueling panic and speculation as people searched desperately for clarity. All anyone knew was that the great waterway connecting two oceans was closed, with no end in sight. The uncertainty was as vast as the oceans themselves. The day the canal shut down was the day the world confronted its own vulnerability. It was a stark reminder of how interconnected and how fragile our modern lives truly are. The economic fallout was immediate and brutal, sending shockwaves through every corner of the financial world. Global stock markets plunged to historic lows, oil prices soared to record highs, and the cost of moving goods skyrocketed overnight, leaving businesses and consumers reeling. Within days, abstract numbers on screens became real-world pain. Grocery prices rose sharply, factories slowed to a crawl, and store shelves emptied faster than they could be restocked. The just-in-time delivery system that powered modern life had been abruptly severed, exposing its hidden vulnerabilities. In ports worldwide, containers piled up, truck drivers lost work, and the entire logistics network ground to a halt. Factory workers faced layoffs and uncertainty, unsure when or if their jobs would return. The shutdown created a domino effect, threatening small businesses with closure and putting livelihoods at risk. It exposed just how interconnected the world truly was, as disruptions in one place rippled across continents. Panic buying set in as people rushed to stock up on essentials, fearing shortages and uncertainty. The psychological impact was as damaging as the economic one. Trust in the system evaporated, replaced by anxiety and fear. The closure of the Panama Canal wasn't just a logistical problem, it was a crisis of confidence that shook governments and corporations alike. The world felt smaller, more connected, but also more fragile than ever before, as people everywhere realized how dependent they were on distant events. The phrase, supply chain disruption, became a harsh reality for millions, dominating headlines and daily conversations. The shutdown eroded a fundamental sense of stability, forcing families and businesses to make difficult choices. The world was forced to realize that a problem in a narrow stretch of land could cause pain everywhere, connecting distant lives in unexpected ways. The crisis shook the very foundations of the globalized world, leaving a lasting mark on how we view our interconnected future. To grasp the crisis, you have to understand what the Panama Canal is. It's more than a waterway. It's the beating heart of global commerce. Without it, ships must sail thousands of extra miles, adding weeks and massive costs to every journey. Everyday goods that fill our homes and power our lives pass through its locks. 6% of global maritime trade, worth hundreds of billions, relies on this single passage. The canal is not just economic, it's strategic, enabling military and commercial movement between oceans. Its smooth operation is a matter of international stability. The shutdown in May 2025 was a brutal reminder. This 51-mile lifeline held up a fragile, interconnected world. The world learned how much it depended on a single, vulnerable link. The Panama Canal's story is one of ambition and engineering triumph. The French failed in the 1880s, defeated by jungle and disease. The US succeeded in the early 1900s, conquering both nature and engineering challenges. The canal opened in 1914, redrawing global shipping routes and symbolizing international cooperation. In 1999, Panama took full control, and a 2016 expansion kept the canal relevant for modern megaships. The canal became a source of national pride and a vital engine for Panama's economy. Its sudden closure in 2025 was shocking, a break in a century-old legacy. At first, the world accepted the official story, cascading electronic failures in the new locks, but as international experts investigated, a darker truth emerged. The failures were precise, targeted, and maliciously designed. Sophisticated malware had corrupted the canal's control systems, bypassing security and embedding deep within the core programming. Physical inspections revealed covert sabotage. Custom devices had introduced abrasive powder into hydraulic systems, causing catastrophic damage. The attack was coordinated, combining cyber and physical sabotage. The goal wasn't just to shut the canal, but to make repair nearly impossible. The world was facing economic warfare, not a technical glitch. The question shifted. Who did this? And why? The discovery sent a chill through the investigative team. This was a deliberate, well-funded operation. The attackers knew exactly where to strike for maximum chaos. The canal was now a crime scene, and the world was on edge. The hunt for the perpetrators had begun. The sabotage findings reached the highest levels of government. The revelation changed everything. This was now a major international security crisis. Leaders faced an impossible choice: reveal the attack and risk global panic, or keep it secret and buy time. Ultimately, they chose secrecy, maintaining the cover story of technical failure. This allowed forensic teams to search for more evidence and hidden traps. The canal was shut down indefinitely, not just for repairs, but to secure a crime scene. The decision was painful and costly, but leaders believed it was the only responsible choice. The world believed it was a precaution. The truth was far more chilling. Behind the scenes, the hunt for the attackers intensified. The fate of global commerce hung in the balance. The world waited, unaware of the true danger lurking beneath the surface. The closure turned the world's oceans into a parking lot. Hundreds of ships, laden with goods, sat stranded on either side of the isthmus. Financial losses soared into the billions as shipping companies scrambled to reroute vessels. Alternate routes created new bottlenecks and overwhelmed major ports. The crisis exposed the fragility of the global shipping network. For many, the shutdown was an existential threat. Latin American exporters lost entire harvests, and small island nations faced shortages of essentials. Wealthier nations could absorb the costs, but the most vulnerable suffered most. The image of stranded ships became a symbol of the world's vulnerability. The shutdown was not just an inconvenience, it was a lifeline, severed for millions. The world realized how easily the system could break. Behind the scenes, a multinational task force raced against the clock to save the canal, uniting experts from every corner of the globe. Engineers, technicians, and specialists from dozens of countries converged on Panama, bringing with them unique skills and determination. Engineers, intelligence agents, and military specialists worked under tight security, their every move watched by armed guards. They toiled day and night to repair the damage, restore critical systems, and hunt for the attackers responsible for the sabotage. The technical challenge was immense, draining and cleaning massive hydraulic systems, repairing heavy machinery, and rebuilding control software from scratch. Every component had to be checked, every line of code rewritten, and every system tested for hidden threats. Intelligence agencies traced digital clues across continents, dissecting sabotage devices and analyzing data in high-tech offices. They pieced together a global puzzle, following leads that stretched from Panama to distant capitals. Each day brought small victories: a line cleared, a section of code verified, a new lead in the investigation. These moments of progress fueled hope and kept the team moving forward despite exhaustion. The collaborative effort was a remarkable display of international cooperation, with language barriers and cultural differences overcome by a shared mission. Old rivalries were set aside for the common good, as former adversaries worked shoulder to shoulder, united by the urgency of the crisis. The world was holding its breath, watching news updates and waiting for the artery of commerce to be restored. Ships idled at both ends of the canal, and global trade slowed to a crawl. The pressure was immense, not just to fix the canal, but to send a message that such attacks would not go unpunished. World leaders demanded answers and swift action. The rescue was a race against time and uncertainty, with teams working around the clock under glaring floodlights, every second counting. The fate of the global economy depended on their success. Financial markets trembled, and businesses worldwide anxiously awaited news from Panama. The world's hope rested on a small army of experts in Panama, whose skill, courage, and relentless effort would determine the future of global trade. On June 28, 2025, the Panama Canal reopened. The first ship's passage was broadcast worldwide, a symbol of hope and resilience. The backlog would take weeks to clear, and the economic aftershocks would last for months. The crisis had cost the global economy an estimated $1 trillion. The successful repair was hailed as a triumph of international cooperation. The full story of the sabotage was revealed. A rogue organization had targeted the canal for profit. The world was stunned by the vulnerability of its critical infrastructure. The incident triggered a global review of security protocols. The Great Shutdown became a defining moment, a lesson in fragility and resilience. The world emerged scarred but wiser, with a renewed sense of shared responsibility. The empty shelves and stranded ships were a warning, but the image of nations working together offered hope for a more secure future.